The story begins with a guy killing someone. After killing the guy he said, "I managed to kill again today. It means that tomorrow a new day will come." On July 10th, we saw a guy named Makoto who was about to go out to deliver newspapers. When he was about to walk out, his chief asked him that he should go get some rest after completing this work. But Makoto said that he got another part-time job to do after this, so he can't rest. His chief couldn't believe that he is starting another part-time job. A woman also asked him not to overwork, but Makoto just smiled and said that he'll be able to handle it. The chief is shocked that Makoto is just a high school student who is providing for his family, and he never complained. After he started his scooter to sit out, a drunk-looking guy came to him and started asking him for money. The drunkard said that he needed money so he could enjoy himself tonight. When Makoto refused to give money, the drunkard guy started fighting with him. Right then, the boss came out and stopped the fight. The next day, Makoto was going toward his school after working all night. Suddenly, a girl named Yaini pushed him from behind. Yaini is a childhood friend of Makoto, and they are still really good friends. She immediately started inspecting Makoto and noticed some muscle. She asked him if he built those muscles because he works all day and night. She told him that she heard he worked all night, that's why he skips school most of the time. She asked him if his father was drinking again. She asked him why he's working too much. Makoto answered that he wants to buy something, that's why he works hard daily. Of course this is a lie. When he was about to leave, Yaini asked him if he's working this much because of Shiori's illness. Hearing that, Makoto stopped walking and asked her how she knew that. She answered that she heard by accident from the club's supervisor in middle school that Shori is ill and in the hospital. Answering that, she asked him why he never told her. Makoto answered that it's just a family matter and left with a smile. While walking away, he thought that this is a trial from a god for him alone, so he'll do it alone. He thinks that if he works hard without relying on anyone else, the god will save his sister. The next moment, Makoto was sitting beside Shiori in the hospital bed. A nurse walked in and told Makoto that Shiori's condition is stable but she is unconscious. Hearing that, Makoto reminded the nurse that it's been a month and asked her if Shiori's name is still not included in the operation list. He said that if the money is lacking, he'll pay them. The nurse answered that money is not a problem. Shiori's operation will only start when they find a donor for her. While sitting beside Shiori, he remembered Shiori's beautiful and innocent smile, and said that he'll work hard for her and save her no matter what. After that, Makoto headed home to get some rest. But after he entered, he saw his father drinking with his friends. Makoto looked around and noticed the sushi and drinks on the table. He asked his father where he got these. Right then, he spotted an envelope on the table and got really angry. Because in this envelope, he was saving the money for Shiori's treatment. When Makoto started shouting at his father, the father just said that Shiori will surely die, so there's no need to save money for her treatment. Hearing that, Makoto grabbed his father from the collar and asked him how he could say things like these as a father. Seeing that, the father picked up a bottle and started beating Makoto. While beating him, the father was cursing him, calling him a piece of trash and many other things. After a moment, Makoto wasn't able to hold on and ran away from home thinking that he can't endure this anymore. He went to a shrine and started shouting, asking if he doesn't deserve a little bit of happiness. After getting no answer from the god, he started saying that he knew there's no god. He prayed so much but nothing changed. He shouted that if the same situation goes on day by day, if the future brings only despair for him and Shiori, he doesn't want a new day to come at all. After shouting for a while, he went to his part-time job and completed it. Right then he received a call from the hospital with good news. The nurse told him that the hospital has found a donor for her sister and her operation is scheduled a month later. Hearing the news, he got really happy and thought that the gods had heard his prayers. After that, he cleaned his face and decided to earn some more money because father had spent the money he had saved. Thinking this, he went to work and met the drunkard guy he met yesterday. Surprisingly, the guy said the same thing that he said yesterday. Makoto was really shocked and told the guy that he said the same thing yesterday, but the guy said that he didn't. Right then he spotted that the date on the newspapers is that of yesterday, July 10th. He immediately called his boss and asked him if these newspapers were old. When the boss checked the newspaper's date, he said that July 10th is today's date, so these newspapers aren't old. Makoto was really shocked, unable to say a single word. Later, he went to the hospital and asked the nurse about the donor, but the nurse answered that they haven't found a donor yet. Makoto was really confused and told her that she called him yesterday and told him about the donor. She assumed and told him that someone might have prank called him. Saying that, she went back to her work leaving Makoto alone. As he was in a hospital, there was a TV and a calendar around on both things, he just saw the date of July 10th. Seeing and noticing everything, he wondered if the time had rewound. Suddenly, another nurse came there and said that Shiori's condition had gotten worse. Makoto couldn't believe it because yesterday, her condition was stable. At midnight, Makoto received a call from the hospital with the news that a donor was found for Shori. This time, he didn't feel happy and went home thinking he was experiencing déjà vu. But as the clock hit 12 and the next day started, everything changed again. The food he bought has disappeared, the bag is in another place, the dirty shirt is clean and is on a hanger again. With this, Makoto is completely sure that this day repeats itself. The next moment, Makoto rushed to the hospital with a worried expression. The nurse told him that he can't meet Shori now because her condition is really bad. Makoto realizes that even though day is repeating itself, Shiori's disease is progressing without stopping. Realizing that Shori is stuck in the time loop, he started crying on the hospital floor asking why only and Shori are suffering this much. Right then, he remembered what he prayed in front of the shrine. He said that he and Shori didn't want to see a new day. So, the god took it seriously and completed his wish by trapping him in a time loop. Leaving the hospital, he went to the same shrine again and asked the god if he's playing a joke on him. He was really worried because even though they found the donor, Makoto and Shori are stuck in the time loop, so she'll eventually die without operation. He was really confused wondering what he should do now. At that moment, the same guy named Vikita arrived at the shrine. Vikita immediately accused Makoto of stealing donations and started chasing him. When he caught Makoto, he asked him for money. This time, there's no boss to save him, so Vikita was easily able to find some money from Makoto's pocket and stole it. Makoto asked him to give the money back because he's saving this for his sister's treatment, but Vikita refused to give it back. He kicked Makoto in the stomach and started heading out of the shrine. Right then, Makoto appeared behind him with a big rock, asking him to give back the money. Saying that, he smashed Vikita's head with the rock multiple times and killed him. Makoto was really shocked that he killed someone. He didn't want to believe it, but he already killed someone, there's no turning back. He took the money from Vikita and ran home. He sat in his room covered with blood, thinking that he didn't have to fear because the time would be rewound. But the next day, while he was walking on the road thinking that time has been rewound, he saw some policemen near the shrine where he killed Vikita. Seeing them, he realizes that the time is moving forward. Somehow, when he opened his hand, he saw a piece of paper in it. In the paper, it is written that if he takes a monster's life, a new day's door will open up. After reading that, he understood that he killed a man yesterday, that's why a new day's door opened and time started moving forward. He immediately rushed to the hospital and found Shori. Seeing her, he decided to kill one human every day to give Shori an opportunity to survive till the operation. At the shrine, an officer reports that the victim is Vikita, 24 years old. Killed yesterday approximately at 10 p.m. Worked as a courier in newspaper delivery. Seeing the time and place, the officer assumes that it has something to do with drug dealing. She reported all this to Inspector Tsukumo. He wasn't paying attention to what she was saying, he was looking at the weapon that the killer used. He found a rock covered with blood with the murderer's fingerprints all over. But the woman inspector named Mizuno still thinks that Vikita was killed because of the drugs. Tsukumo didn't agree and said that her deductive methods are in serious trouble. Right then, Mizuno revealed that these drugs were lying right beside the body. On the other hand, Makoto left the hospital and on the way, he met with Yaini. She dragged him away and gave him a notebook. She told him that the final exams are starting from today, so he should start studying and forget about the work. Suddenly, Makoto was about to reveal something to Yaini, but in the end, he decided not to tell her anything. While sitting in the class, he was just thinking that he has to kill someone today. At that moment, he saw Vikita's face. He got really scared and let out a loud shout in the class. He thought that he couldn't kill anyone. Killing a man to make time more forward, he just can't do it. After the school ended, both inspectors came to him and told him that they wanted to talk to him for a moment. Makoto followed them to a hotel where Mizuno told him that Vikita was killed. She knows that they both work together in the newspaper company. So, she asked him if he had any ideas about who could be the murderer. Before Makoto said anything, Mizuno took out an envelope and told him that someone dropped it at the crime scene. Makoto immediately realized that this was his envelope. He assumes that he dropped it on the crime scene in panic. Tsukumo mentions that such envelopes are used in city hospitals to store cash. Tsukumo also knows that Makoto's sister is in the hospital, so he asked him how they are going to solve this misunderstanding. He asked Makoto if he's going to let them take his fingerprints. Immediately when Makoto heard that, he realized that he got caught and ran away from the hotel. Mizuno was about to follow him, but Tsukumo stopped her and just told her to keep an eye on him. At night, Makoto was hiding in his room and when he looked outside the window, he saw a car which made him realize that he's being watched. He was thinking that he will end up in jail when he remembered that he didn't kill anyone today. So after the day will end, the time will rewind and the day will start again. At that moment, he'll do something to fix the situation. After some waiting, the day finished, and when he looked outside, the car also disappeared. He rushed toward the place where he killed Vikita and took all evidence away that led to him. While picking up the things, he looked toward Vikita's body and thought that it's not his fault, Vikita made him do it. Thinking that, he buried the rock in a faraway place and burned the envelope. After destroying the evidence, he thought that by rewinding a day, he could destroy evidence and evade suspicion. So, he decided to kill as many people as it takes for his sister. Same as before, many police officers arrived at the scene and reported the body. But this time, the detectives didn't find any evidence. They didn't find any weapon or other things, but Tsukumo noticed a blood mark. Meanwhile, Makoto was in the hospital where a nurse told him that this night Shiori's condition worsened drastically. That's why they moved her to the intensive care unit. Unfortunately, transplantation can be made no earlier than August 10th. Makoto looked toward Shori and thought that he had made a decision. He will continue. It doesn't matter how blood shall be on his hand eventually, he will lead her to tomorrow's day. Sitting in the class, Makoto was determined to kill someone today. He knows that Shori will definitely be against his decision, but he has no choice. He thought that he'll help her to survive till the operation. He also promised that he'll not touch those whose deaths will make her sad. He will only kill those who deserve to die. After school, Yaini tried to talk to Makoto, but he didn't listen and just left. He is just trying to figure out whom he should kill today. While walking, he spotted a group of boys. He hid behind a tree to see what they're doing. It turns out that these boys are bullying someone. They have surrounded a girl named Katajiri and ordered her to come to an abandoned barn near the river. While walking away, the boys said to Katajiri that she'll be their slave for the rest of her life. After the boys left, she ran toward the tree but accidentally bumped into Makoto. She realized that Makoto heard everything about how she stole exam answers and asked him to not tell anyone about this. Before answering, Makoto asked her how she got mixed up with those boys. She explains that a guy from that group saw her stealing. And in order for him to not report her to the police, they force her to steal different things for them. She said that her parents divorced when she was in 3rd grade of middle school. She's been living with mom since then. But after her dad left the house, her mom started bringing random men home. Her mom completely changed and forgot all about her. That's why she studied hard. She wanted her to notice her. And that's how, because of constant stress, she committed a crime. Katajiri started crying saying that her mom will definitely abandon her if Makoto reports her. Hearing her story, Makoto realizes that she is just like her and decides to not tell anyone about her. At night, Makoto was packing up different weapons to kill someone. He has no idea how to kill a man with a knife. Back then with Vikita, he didn't realize what he was doing. It's different this time. It's going to be a real murder. And he can't afford to get caught by the police. With so many conditions, there's a high chance of failing. The day is coming to an end and he has to choose which person to kill. Right then, he remembered those boys from the school called Katajiri at a barn near Himino River. They gave her the time of 22 o'clock, which is now. Makoto packed up his things and headed toward the barn. The place was so quiet that it made him think that there's no one here. He slowly walked toward the barn thinking if those guys really deserve to die. Because they didn't commit a big crime, they just threatened Katajiri a little. But he was wrong. As he got close to the barn, he saw what was going on inside. In the barn, we see that the boy has beaten Katajiri really badly and has also violated her. This isn't the end. The boys are determined to make Katajiri their slave and violate her whenever they want. Now Makoto is sure that these people deserve to die. After a while, 2 boys left the barn to go home while one stayed behind. Makoto jumped at that boy and started beating him. The boy started asking for help saying that he doesn't want to die here. Seeing the boy begging, Makoto remembered his sister which made him lose his grip a little. Taking the chance, the boy first hit Makoto with an elbow, and then he picked up a little rock and beat Makoto with it. After beating him for a while, the boy realizes that Makoto is the one who attacked him. The boy assumes that Makoto has a crush on Katajiri and is here to save her, so the boy starts saying bad things about her, which made Makoto really angry. He used all his force and popped the boy's eyes. Next, he drowned the boy in the lake and killed him painfully. With this, he killed someone, which means time will move forward. He called Shiori's name and said that he has made his decision to move forward to a new day. Right then, Makoto noticed Katajiri running away from there. Seeing her, he wondered if she saw him killing that boy. He immediately started chasing her thinking that he had to kill her. But suddenly he stopped. He can't believe that he's having these kinds of thoughts. In the morning, the body of the boy named Savanoi was discovered. The same detectives from before came to identify the body. After checking the body, they realized that the victim fought back actively to survive. But there's nothing that led to the killer. The killer has erased all the evidence properly. Tsukumo can't believe that they found 2 bodies in 2 days in this small town. After some hours, almost all the people learned about the incident. At school, everyone was talking about how Savanoi died. Makoto was sitting at his seat looking really worried. Katajiri also came to school, but she's not looking at Makoto. During the break, other 2 boys called Katajiri and accused her of killing Savanoi. She said that she's not the one who killed him, but they didn't believe her. While the boys were talking to her, Makoto was hiding behind the tree hearing everything. A boy asked Katajiri if she saw anyone else near that place. She answered that when she woke up, she saw no one and ran home right away. Makoto was relieved after hearing that she didn't see him. At that moment, one of the boys said that the police thought that they both were with Savanoi yesterday. So, he suggests that they should say the same. They should report to the police that Savanoi went to that barn alone. Hearing that, Morishita said that their story will not be able to cover them up, so they should just tell them everything. Kazuwara immediately refused the idea, saying that they can't tell the police that they violated a girl at that barn. Kazuwara suddenly remembered that yesterday, Morishita's mother wasn't at home, so Kazuwara decided that he'll report to the police that he was at Morishita's house. Because the police didn't have any proof, they'll probably be safe. Before leaving, Kazuwara said to Katajiri that she should also make up some story and warned her to not reveal anything in front of the police. While walking away, Kazuwara asked Morishita what they even did to deserve this. At the hospital, Makoto was sitting beside Shori and told her that he had killed a man. He mentions that her operation is a month away, and now it's 1 day closer. Till August 10th, it's 29 kills. Makoto wonders if he'll be able to stay normal until then. He remembered how he decided to kill Katajiri just because of the probability that she saw her. Makoto is scared, wondering what will become of him after a month. The next moment, Yaini entered the room. First thing she noticed that Shirori is not in intensive care anymore. Makoto told her that doctors say that's stable for now. Next, she talked about the guy who got murdered and asked Makoto if he knew him. When he answered with no, Yaini was relieved because she worried that it could upset him because Makoto is so kind. Hearing that, Makoto asked her what kind of person she thinks he is. After thinking, she answered that he's a little shy and discreet, always thinking about other people's happiness. She called him kind and strong. When Makoto said that she's overpraising him, Yaini reminds him of an old day. When they were in junior school, her cat went missing and they searched for it. When others decided that the cat is gone for good, Makoto didn't give up and continued searching, and then, after several days, he finally found the cat. Yaini then thought that Makoto is very responsible and a person can rely on him. Hearing that, Makoto said that she's wrong. He reveals that at that time, all he needed was money for school lunches. He heard that Yaini's parents will pay a reward to whoever finds the cat. He started shouting that he's not kind and couldn't care less about the other people's happiness. Right then, the nurse entered the room and told Makoto that they received a call from the police, and it's about his father. Makoto went to the police station and learned that his father had been drinking since noon, raged out, and smashed up one store nearby. If the store makes a claim, then Makoto has to compensate. Yaini was about to talk to Makoto's father when Makoto punched him in the face. Immediately, many police officers came to stop him. He started shouting that he's done with this. He asked the god why he has to endure all these hardships. At that moment, he heard a voice from behind. Makoto realized that it's the same detective he saw before and decided to stay calm. Right then, Makoto spotted Kazuwara. Kazuwara's parents are also here. They were really worried to learn that their son had been called to the police. Mizuno asked them to not worry. She told them that they just called him here to ask a few questions and now he's free to go. Seeing them happily leaving the police station, Makoto felt something. The next moment, Makoto was standing outside Kazuwara's house. He saw that Kazuwara is living a really good life. He has loving parents, a healthy sister, and money on the table. While Makoto is living a hellish life. He has to earn money himself, his sister isn't healthy, and his father just created more problems for Makoto. He remembered what Kazuwara did to Katajiri and wondered if he's going to live his life as if nothing happened. The life that is way better than Makoto. He got really angry and asked the god if this was a joke. Right after Makoto left the house, Kazuwara received a call. He picked up the call and Makoto said to him that he knows he has all the exam answers. He told Kazuwara that he also knows he made Katajiri steal them. Makoto called Kazuwara at the abandoned platform to have a talk. Kazuwara was really worried, so he immediately went to meet Makoto. When Kazuwara reached the destination, he asked Makoto how he knew about Katajiri. Makoto didn't answer and just said to Kazuwara that Kazuwara never showed his true face to his family. While mentioning all of Kazuwara's crimes, Makoto jumped at him and grabbed him from the neck. Makoto asked Kazuwara how many innocent people Kazuwara had robbed of happiness for his own life. In the end, Makoto pushed Kazuwara off of the building saying that he'll rob him of his new day. Like this, the next day started. At school, Makoto was thinking that Vikita, Kazuwara, Savanoi, they all deserved to die. They made other people miserable and continued to enjoy their lives, while all that awaits innocent Shori is demise. At a different class, Morishita was really worried because he had learned that Kazuwara also went missing. He wonders if he's going to be the next. After school, Makoto went to the hospital to meet Shiori and saw the same nurse he saw every day. Makoto asked her about Shiori's condition. She answered that she is pretty much good today. She explains that even since they moved his sister from intensive care, her condition is out of danger. If everything stays as it is, she shall be secure till the day of operation on August 10th. Saying that, she asked Makoto if he's okay because looking at his face, it seems like he's not in good condition. Makoto just answered that he's fine and asked the nurse to not worry about her. Hearing that, the nurse said that all the boys are trying to look strong, but the reality is that they are weak. Then, the nurse reveals that she also has a son. She explains that her husband spends too much time at work, he barely sees his son. She also works night shifts often, that's why their son is alone at home. She guesses that he probably feels lonely at home. Learning that, Makoto feels awkward because the nurse named Suzuhara never talked about her personal life. Suzuhara agrees that she keeps her personal life to herself during work because people's lives depend on her. Her rule is to not mix up personal life with professional life. She even used her maiden name in the hospital. She revealed her life a little to Makoto because today is a special day. Today is her son's birthday. At that moment, Makoto said that he's going home. Suzuhara couldn't believe that he's going home this early, so Makoto told her that he has something to take care of. The next moment, Makoto was standing in front of injured Morishita. Morishita begged him to stop, but Makoto didn't listen. He took out a pole with a stone attached on top. He used this pole to smash Morishita's head. After one hit, Morishita died instantly and Makoto left the place. On the other hand, Suzuhara was standing near the road. Because of the rain, the taxi didn't arrive in time, but she was glad that she bought the cake in advance. While she was calling her son, Morishita's phone was ringing. It turns out that Suzuhara is Morishita's mother. The next day, the body was discovered by police and the same detectives took over the case. This time, they aren't the one who found the body, but someone else. Tsukumo asked Mizuno to take him to the person who found the body. Inside the car, Yeni was sitting. Tsukumo asked her what she was doing so late near that construction material warehouse. She answered that she had to buy something in the store nearby, and this road is the shortcut to the main street. She was walking past this depot when she heard a mobile ringing, and then she noticed. Saying that, Yeni was about to throw up because she saw the body of the victim in really bad condition. Mizuno noticed that and asked Tsukumo that he should question her later. But Tsukumo said that he'll not stop the interrogation and ask her while her memories are still clear. At home, Makoto was about to leave when his dad asked him about the food. Makoto told him that there is bento left in the fridge. Hearing that, father got really angry and told him that he needed something better. He asked Makoto if he skipped work last night. He answered that he went to work, but he didn't work that much because of the exams. The father still didn't stop and told him that he should go to work. He said that exams are just a waste of time. He also asked her to not visit Shirori from now on and just spend his time earning money. When Makoto heard that, he got really angry and asked his father to shut up. If not, Makoto warned him that he'll kill him. The father got really angry hearing that and grabbed Makoto from the collar. Seeing that, Makoto asked his dad to get off because he's getting late for school. Suddenly, the father fell to the ground completely scared. He realized that Makoto was really going to kill just by looking at his face. At school, the principal talked about the boys who got killed and asked the students to be careful from now on. After school, Makoto received a message from someone named Shinjo. This person messaged that they have something important to talk about and asked Makoto to call them when he's free. The next moment, Makoto went to the hospital and saw that Suzuhara wasn't there. They asked the different nurse if she took the day off. So, the nurse explained everything to Makoto. Makoto was really shocked to learn that Morishita was Suzuhara's son. Right then Suzuhara arrived outside the room. A nurse asked her why she came to work today. She should be at home. Suzuhara smiled and said that Morishita had to attend the autopsy. He isn't home today. She was too bored waiting for his return, so she came here. The nurse was about to say something else when Suzuhara shouted, asking them to leave her alone. At that moment, she spotted Makoto standing in front of her. She started crying and grabbed Makoto's shirt while calling out her son's name. Suddenly she said, "I will kill him." She said that the one who stole her son from her, she'll kill them. She started shouting that she'll kill the murderer of her son, so the other nurses took her away. While she was being taken away, she was shouting that she only had Morishita. Makoto fell to the ground thinking that he had no idea Morishita was her son. He realizes that this is what it means to kill people. He called out his sister's name and asked what he should do now. He thought that he had already handled these thoughts. Turns out he's no better. While trying to save his sister, he stole Suzuhara's happiness. He thought that he is as scum as they are. He realized that he caused grief that's impossible to forget. He wondered why he didn't think of this earlier, even if he's doing all this for Shori. Right then, Yaini entered the room, and when she saw Makoto crying, she asked him what happened. Makoto just said that it's all fine and thought that he can't tell her anything. Then, Yaini revealed that she found Morishita's body. She asked him if he didn't see anything yesterday. Hearing that, Makoto got really worried and asked her what he should have seen. Then Yaini mentions that he was there yesterday. Makoto asked her, "Where?" Yaini assumes that he probably didn't notice her. She explains that yesterday he was riding a bicycle by the road leading from the warehouse where the murder took place. Makoto was really shocked and asked her if she told anything to the police. Yanis said that she just mentioned briefly. Seeing him shaking, Yaini asked him if something's wrong. Makoto didn't mention anything and asked her the time when she told the police. Yaini answered that she talked to the police a little less before midnight. Learning that, Makoto realized that now there's no point in rewinding this day. A new day came after he killed Morishita. He couldn't change yesterday. Now the police know about him, there's no way to alter that. Yaini sincerely believed him. The thought that he could be the killer didn't even cross her mind. But the police are a different matter. A man riding from the crime scene just after Morishita was murdered. This single face is merely enough for them to count Makoto as a murderer, or at least a suspect. Right then, Tsukumo and Mizuno entered the room and said that they have to ask him something. They went to the interrogation room and told Makoto that Yaini saw him last night near the crime scene, so they asked him what he was doing there. Shaking, Makoto answered that he was not going anywhere, he just wanted to take a walk around the area. Hearing that, Tsukumo asked him why in the rain and at midnight. Makoto realizes that he's under suspicion. Before July 14th, Yaini told the police that she saw him near the crime scene. That's why, even if he rewinds the day, he can't avoid the police knowing about him. He called out Shiori's name and asked what he should do. After some questioning, Makoto left the police station. Yaini, who was standing outside, saw him and asked him if they clarify their suspicions about him. When Makoto didn't answer, she apologized and told him that she didn't think this would turn out like this. It didn't cross her mind that the police would seriously believe it was Makoto. As she said that, she noticed that Makoto didn't stop for her. She asked home where he's going and mentioned that his house is on the opposite side. Makoto just asked her to leave him alone. But she didn't leave, she chased him saying she'll go with him. She thought that she can't leave him alone in a situation like this. After walking for a while, they reached a train station. Yaini asked him if he's going there. Before he could answer, some people approached Makoto. One of them said that he knew this boy. He mentions that Makoto worked with Vikita. The guy remembered that he heard Makoto was going to give Vikita some money. He asked Makoto to give money to him since Vikita is already dead. The guy asked him to empty his pockets while slowly getting closer to Yaini. Makoto noticed that, so he hit the guy, grabbed Yaini's hand, and ran inside the train. Sitting in the train, Yaini remembered that when those hooligans approached them, Makoto's face didn't change. She thinks that current Makoto is nothing like the one she knew since she was a child. She wondered what was going on with Makoto and why he's not telling her anything. Right then, Makoto called Yaini and asked her to imagine that due to certain circumstances, to protect the life of someone important to her, she has to kill people. If that happened, what she would do. Yaini was really confused and asked him why he's asking her something like that. Makoto said that it's just his curiosity and asked her to answer. She answered that if she had to kill someone to protect her life, she wouldn't know what to do. But she thinks a killer, until his last days, he is forced to live with the misfortunes that his crimes brought. But, if there was not a single person willing to help her to protect that person so important to her, then she would endure living with any kind of suffering. Makoto heard that answer and thought, endure the suffering. At 6:54 p.m., Yaini and Makoto entered a park. When she asked him why they're here, Makoto answered that once a long time ago, he came here with all his family. Back then, he couldn't even guess what the future held for his family. And that day, Shiroti smiled dazzlingly. Hearing that, Yaeni grabbed Makoto's hand and said that exam season is over, and tomorrow is Sunday, so they should enjoy it here. After spending some joyous time together, Makoto sat near a tree. Yaeni asked him what he's doing here and mentioned that she was looking for him everywhere. Yaeni was worried because the station is already closed, how they'll spend their time here. Then, Makoto asked her not to be worried because she'll be home very soon. He said that today he couldn't kill anyone, and in a minute, when it is midnight, the time will rewind 24 hours, and restart this time loop. He told her that everything that happened today will fade. She will be taken to the moment when the police interrogate her and she will live this day again. Yaeni was really confused after hearing all that. Then, Makoto said that the time doesn't affect her. Therefore, as soon as the day restarts, he will stay here. In other words, it will seem to her that he mysteriously disappeared from Miyako and at midnight, he reappeared in Tokyo. Before Yaeni could ask him anything, she disappeared from there. After she disappeared, Makoto got up and went toward a supermarket. He entered the market and stared at the camera for a while. After that, Makoto returned to his town again and everything that happened on July 14th, repeated again. Like before, both Mizuno and Tsukumo came to him to ask him some questions. At the police station, Mizuno was shocked to hear that Makoto was in Tokyo from last night until this morning and came on the first train. When Tsukumo mentions that Yaeni saw him last night, Makoto told them that it's possible she mistook him for someone else. He said that yesterday he went to Tokyo to relive his memories with Shori, but he missed the last train. He also mentions that he went to the store inside the park around midnight. He told them that it'll be easy for them to verify through security cameras. After Makoto left, Tsukumo and Mizuno immediately asked for the security camera recording from the store manager that Makoto visited. And like Makoto mentioned, they clearly saw him in the camera video. Mizuno instantly believed that Makoto was telling the truth, but Tsukumo felt something weird. On the other hand, Makoto was killing the same guy who asked him for money and tried to do bad things to Yaeni. While strangling the guy, Makoto called himself a wicked being. He thought that he's not going to look away, he will just bear the suffering, and he will bring a new day. Right then, Katajiri was about to call Makoto. After killing the guy, Makoto was going home when he spotted Katajiri standing in front of his house. She first apologized to Makoto for appearing this late in front of his house. She first mentions that she was thinking if she should call him or not, and then asks him if she can talk to him for a bit. Inside Makoto's room, Katajiri said, I saw you killing Sawanoi. She said that she was shocked, she didn't expect Makoto would do something like that. Then she asked him why he did that. She guessed that it wasn't for her sake because they hardly talked in class. It's very unlikely Makoto would go this far just to save her. So, she asked him the reason for killing Sawanoi. Makoto said that he can't tell her because even if he did, she would not believe him or understand him. Saying that, he asked her if she's going to report him to the police. Katajiri answered with no and also said that she will not ask him about the reason. But in return, she asked him to help her again. Hearing the word again, Makoto asked her what she meant. At that moment, she started crying and sat on her knees. She said that if they don't do something, her mom will die. Katajiri explains that the man her mom brought in recently forced her to do drugs. From then on, morning and midnight, she would scream like an animal. The drugs can keep her awake for days at a time, and sometimes, she would end up having convulsions and her mouth foaming, but that man just leaves her lying there like that. If that goes on, he will kill her mom sooner or later. She said that they have to do something before her mom dies. Makoto realizes that she's asking him to kill that man, so he immediately says no. Makoto said that killing that man is too risky, the death of that man will bind Makoto even more to Katajiri. He doesn't want the police to grab him again. Makoto points out that he saved her from Sawanoi and his friends, and he's sure she won't tell anyone about what they did to her. So, Makoto said that they both don't owe each other anything. Saying that, he asked her to leave. He said that he doesn't want to kill her, so she should leave. On the ground, Katajiri said, "You save me, huh? To hell with that." While crying, she said that even though he killed Sawanoi and his friends, she still lives in hell. At Katajiri's house, the man was doing drugs when he heard a voice. He left the room thinking Katajiri was back. But when he entered Katajiri's room, he didn't see Katajiri. Right then, Makoto came from behind to attack the guy with the knife. But the man spotted him and was able to save himself. But in the process, he threw away his phone. And on the phone, there was a really bad photo of Katajiri. Makoto then told the man that he knows everything he did to Katajiri. It turns out that this man has also done bad things to Katajiri. When Katajiri tried to resist, the man said that he'll do it with her in front of her mom. But Katajiri didn't want her mom to see it, she didn't want her mom to hate her, so she let the man do it with her, but in return, he'll not tell her mom anything. Makoto also knows that the man threatened Katajiri that if she told the police about the drugs, he would tell her mother about the abuse. There's no other way. Makoto dealt with Sawano and his gang, but it didn't change anything. While telling the man that he should die, Makoto ran to attack him. Outside, a person bumped into someone and accidentally threw their wallet. The man noticed that the person had dropped their wallet and asked them to pick it up. But the person just ran away, so the man picked up the wallet. He checks the ID inside the wallet and it turns out to be Makoto's. The person who threw the wallet wasn't Makoto, but Katajiri. Before going to Katajiri's house, Makoto asked Katajiri to change into his clothes. Makoto told her that tomorrow, near the lake, there will be a fireworks festival, due to which every year everyone in the region will stop traffic. Before the end of the event it is impossible to leave. That's why when she drops Makoto's wallet there, he will be able to provide his alibi by himself. In the present, Makoto was fighting with the man. Suddenly, the man kicked Makoto and took away his knife. He ran to attack Makoto when Makoto picked up a scissor and thrust it into the man's balls. While the man was crying in pain, Makoto grabbed him from his hair and cut his throat. In the end, the man died a painful death. After killing him, Makoto told Katajiri that his mission was over and left her alone. As she was thanking Makoto for pulling her and her mom from that hell, at her home, her mom woke up. Her head was spinning as she slowly walked outside her room. When she just took a step out, she slipped and fell down. She noticed blood and her dead man on the ground and shouted, "What is this?" After a while, Katajiri entered the house and the first thing she saw was a dead man. But his body was covered by a shirt. She wondered what happened here and ran to see her mom. However, her mom wasn't inside her room. She immediately realized that her mom had run away. On the other hand, Tsukumo is still looking at the recording they got from the shop that Makoto visited. Mizuno asked him if there's anything unusual about the video. Tsukumo points out that Makoto isn't soaked. At that time in Tokyo, there was heavy rain and Makoto came on foot without an umbrella. It's strange that his clothes aren't completely soaked. Mizuno also noticed that, but it didn't change the fact that Makoto was in Tokyo. In the end, Tsukumo asked Mizuno to keep an eye on Makoto. At Makoto's home, Makoto was looking at a mark on his hand. He said that he needs something to cover it up. Right then, someone threw a rock at his window and when he looked outside, he saw Katajiri. He invited her into the room and learned from her that her mom had run away. When she asked him to help her find her mom, Makoto immediately refused to help her anymore and asked her to go home. But Katajiri was really desperate. She said that she'll do anything while slowly getting closer to Makoto. Katajiri was ready to remove her clothes, but Makoto stopped her. He told her that he's not like Sawanoi or his gang. Hearing that, Katajiri apologized and asked him to forget everything as she slowly walked toward the door to leave. At that moment, Makoto stopped her. He decides to help her and warns her that even if they find her, going with him means she will see hell. At Katajiri's house, Makoto noticed that the house was a complete mess and said that her mom really freaked out. Right then, Katajiri picked her mom's phone from the ground and showed Makoto a message that her mom received yesterday. The message just said the letter Y. As Makoto assumes that this might be a message from her drug dealer, Katajiri reveals that one day, she saw a similar message and she followed mom. Under the bridge was a Yamazite. She met a shady guy and bought some drugs. She guessed that Y is short for Yamazite. She mentions that that area is mostly factories, and during the weekend no one visits that place. Such a place is perfect for shady deals. So, they decided to head to that place. At the same time, Yini went to visit Makoto at his home, but no one opened the door. She was holding a pot that had Makoto's favorite pudding inside. Suddenly, she noticed that the door was open and entered the house. Immediately after entering, she saw Makoto's dad lying on the ground. Yini woke the guy up and asked him about Makoto. He said that he doesn't know where he is and mentions that the last time he saw him was in the middle of the night with some girl whispering something to her. Hearing that, Yini left the house assuming that Makoto got a girlfriend. At night, a guy was sitting near the bridge smoking cigarettes. Right then, Katajiri appeared behind him and asked him if he's waiting for Yuriko. Before Katajiri introduced herself, the man noticed that she's Yuriko's daughter. The man thought that her mom sent her here to buy drugs, so he asked her to pay the money, take the drugs, and get lost. Then, Katajiri revealed that her mom has disappeared, so she's here to ask him if he knows something. But instead of answering, the man got angry and hit her and asked her to pay the money that her mom owes him. Before the man could hit her further, Makoto appeared from behind and grabbed him from the neck with a sharp weapon pointing at his ear. Makoto asked him about where Katajiri's mom might be, and when the man didn't answer, Makoto pierced the man's ear. Then he asked the man again. This time, he said that he doesn't know where she went, she just bought drugs from him and that's it. But Makoto still didn't stop. He pierced the man's shoulder and asked him to answer honestly. After getting injuries all over the body, the man finally spoke up. He said that when she needed a dose, they would sometimes meet at the love hotel named Refrain, by the highway. She said that she uses that place for secret meetings. The man said that this is everything he knows. When Katajiri asked Makoto to let's go, the man asked her what she'll do after finding her mom. He reveals that when he and her mom meet inside the love hotel, her mom used to say that she doesn't care about her daughter. She used to say things like Katajiri might as well die, she doesn't love her and much more. Hearing that, Katajiri was really shocked. She, who wants her mom's love and nothing else, learned that her mom hated her so much, she started panicking. The man didn't stop there, he revealed many other things that her mom said about her daughter all the time. At that moment, Makoto suddenly pierced the man's eye. He didn't stop just there, he attacked the man again and killed him painfully. Seeing the scene, Katajiri threw up. When Makoto saw her, he told her that if she can't endure this, she should just leave him alone. But instead of leaving, Katajiri hugged him from behind and said that she wants to work with him. The next moment, they dismantle the body of the man to hide it. Now, nothing can separate them. They are partners in crime. While burying the body, Katajiri remembered that her mom didn't love her and wished for her to die. So, she looked toward Makoto and said, "Swear that you will never betray me." After that, we see Katajiri's mom somewhere with a man. The man talked to her for a while and then left the room to go to the store. As he left, Makoto and Katajiri were watching him. A few hours earlier, after dealing with the corpse, they went to the hotel that guy mentioned. Noticing Katajiri's mother exiting it, they followed after her. She got into a car with a man named Kuroda and left. Katajiri knew where Kuroda lives, so they followed him here. In the present, now that Katajiri has found her mom, Makoto decided to leave. He asked Katajiri to persuade her mother and then return home. He tells her to call the police right away. But Katajiri stopped him and reminded him that he promised to never betray her. Makoto tells her that he isn't betraying her. He just doesn't want to have his name associated with this incident as it's too dangerous. Beside that, Makoto has to find a new victim quickly because the day is about to end. Katajiri didn't listen. She keeps on asking him to stay with her. Because she kept on begging, Makoto decided to stay with her for now. Then, Katajiri barged into the room where her mom was staying. Katajiri tries to persuade her mom to go home but she doesn't listen. She is scared that the police might throw her in jail because there's a dead body at her house or for doing drugs. Right then, her mom asked her if she had pills. When Katajiri answered no, her mom got mad and attacked her. While they were fighting, Makoto was standing outside. He was really worried because the day is about to end, but he hasn't found anyone to kill. At that moment, he received a message from the hospital that Shiori's condition suddenly got worse. They told him that Shori is currently receiving emergency medical care and asked him to contact the hospital as soon as possible. Inside the room, Katajiri was still trying to persuade her mom, saying she loves her. Hearing that, her mom cursed her and accused her of taking her man away. It turns out that when that man was forcing himself on Katajiri, she accidentally saw them. And the worst part was that when she saw her, Katajiri was being forced to say some bad stuff. That made her mom even more sure that Katajiri was trying to steal her man. Suddenly, Katajiri's mom got up and started beating her, while calling her bad stuff. She started saying things like she shouldn't have given birth to Katajiri. She said to Katajiri that if she loves her so much, she should go ahead and just die. At that moment, Makoto heard something from inside and entered the room. He saw that Katajiri had pierced her mom's stomach with a knife. Katajiri was about to attack her again, saying she tried so hard to make her love her, but in return, she's asking her to die. But before the attack landed, Makoto stopped her. While holding back Katajiri, Makoto wondered what he should do now. If he lets this happen, Katajiri will become a killer. He thought of not killing anyone this time and let the day start again, but if that happened, Shiori's condition would get even worse. As he was thinking what to do, Katajiri's mom started talking again. She called Katajiri her exact copy. She said that she herself likes men, and Katajiri also likes men, so they both are the same. Suddenly, Makoto snatched the knife from Katajiri and killed her mom. He shouted that Katajiri is not her copy, she's not a bag of garbage like her mom is. With this, Makoto is the one who is killed, not Katajiri, so the next day will come. When Makoto said sorry to Katajiri, she asked him not to be sorry. Deep down, she had lost hope a long time ago. Her mom's fading image is the only thing she had. She was afraid that after losing her mother, she would be all alone, but now she has Makoto. While crying, Katajiri said thanks to Makoto for saying that she's not trash. As she thanked him, She took off her shirt and revealed that there are a lot of injuries marks on her. Her whole body is covered with bruises and other injury marks. She said that she was bullied by a lot of men, she was very sad and bitter, she wanted to be hugged by a loved one. Saying that, she jumped toward Makoto, telling him that she loved her. The next day at school, the students were panicking because the Kazuwara corpse was found. The students are just waiting for summer vacation. They said that they will not even step out of their house during summer vacation. Meanwhile, police have found the dead body of Yuriko, Katagi's mother. They also found out that the man with whom Yuriko lives is also dead in the Yuriko's apartment. After gathering some details, they have found out that the murders have been occurring almost every day since June 10th. The bodies of the victims were found in places located close to each other. The time of death is about the same every time. These crimes have a lot in common, but the methods of killing are very different. They make a connection and assume that these murders are most likely related to drugs. Everyone agrees with this conclusion except Tsukumo. Tsukumo still thinks that Makoto is behind everything. Among those killed are 3 high school students from Miyako and Vikita, who work at newspaper delivery. Only Makoto talked to all 4. Hearing that, others still refuse to believe Tsukumo. They also have an undeniable alibi, the CCTV footage, for the time that Morishima was killed. Mizuno reveals that on the 15th, in the area where the fireworks festival was held, Makoto's wallet was found, which means he couldn't kill Tanahashi, the person who lived with Yuriko. The other officers said that the most important thing is that Makoto has no reason to kill them. Then, Tsukumo asked them if they had informed Makoto about his wallet. An officer answered that Makoto didn't come to school today, so they couldn't. Hearing that, Tsukumo guessed that Katajiri is probably gone too. As he said that, he thought that Makoto stood in front of the CCTV on purpose and wondered what was on his mind. With that, Tsukumo left the office, asking others to find Makoto and Katajiri. A few hours earlier before dawn, Katajiri asked Makoto why he's not going home. He answered that he's going to Tokyo. Katajiri tells him that if he leaves the city now, the police will be suspicious. So they should stay calm and not escape. Tsukumo said that this isn't escape, this is war. He also asked Katajiri to go back home and just tell the police she was looking for her mom. Katajiri refuses to leave, so Makoto revealed that today he's going to kill someone again. Confused, Katajiri shouted, asking him why he wanted to kill someone. She asked him the reason for why he's doing all this. After thinking for a moment, Makoto answered that he's doing all this for tomorrow to come. He tells her everything about his time loop. He said that he had to live the same day several times and the only way to break the time loop and open the doors to tomorrow is to kill a person. He said that if such an awful curse fell only on him, then he would have killed himself and that's it. But because his younger sister is also stuck in the loop, he can't commit suicide. He wants to help her survive until August 10th. Her surgery is scheduled for that day. And to reach that day, he has to kill 23 more people. Saying that, Makoto got up to leave, thinking Katajiri wouldn't believe him. But to his surprise, Katajiri believes in him. She grabbed his hand, decided to stay together with him and help him find suitable victims. At night, Makoto was sitting on a bench surrounded by hundreds of passers-by. He looked around, thinking there are probably a lot of people in this crowd who deserve to die. Until now he was only killing in Mayako, but to continue the same way will not work. Everything has its limit. That's why Makoto has come here to expand his region of activity. When Makoto got up to find a suitable target, Katajiri also wanted to go with him and help him, but Makoto stopped, saying he would be the only one doing the killing. He didn't want to give her trouble and left to find someone. After some time, Katajiri was sitting alone thinking of ways to help Makoto. Right when she was thinking that, a drunkard adult came to her and called her a cutie, inviting her to dinner. Seeing him, Katajiri smiled and thought, I got it. At the same time, Makoto was worried because even though he can easily find a person in this crowd, luring them to different places is practically impossible without attracting attention. He looked at the time and was really worried. Only 45 minutes left before the day ends, and Makoto hasn't killed anyone. Meanwhile, the adult who invited Katajiri has followed her in a public bathroom. As they both were talking, Katajiri suddenly pulled out her underwear and put it inside the adult man's mouth. Then she took out a knife and severely injured the man. Next, she called Makoto, telling him everything that happened. She tells him that this man was trying to do bad stuff with minors, so he's a trash who deserves to die. Seeing the man, Makoto was hesitant, but after Katajiri persuaded him, he killed the man. With that, they cleaned the traces and left the place. The next moment, Makoto told Katajiri that he wanted to go home for a while. Katajiri assumes that the reason Makoto is going is because he's worried about school, so she tells him that summer vacation starts earlier because of all the incidents. Makoto said that he isn't going because of school. He's going because tomorrow the doctors will take tests from his sister. They need his written consent, so he must be present. Saying that, he asked her what she was going to do now. She answered that she won't return home because she has nowhere to go. Beside everything that happened, she might be arrested, and that will also frame Makoto. So, she has decided to stay here and wait for Makoto to come back. Before he left, she warned him to not betray her. The next day, Makoto reached the hospital, but before he entered, Tsukumo and Mizuno tried to stop him. They asked him to stop, but Makoto didn't listen and ignored them. They asked Makoto many questions, and even showed him some blood stains from his crime scenes, but Makoto didn't even flinch and kept on walking toward the hospital. Mizuno walks beside him, telling him the murders that are happening these days, but Mizuno doesn't stop. He walked toward the hospital saying he's already late for the tests. Hearing that, Tsukumo realized something and shouted, saying because of his younger sister's illness, his life has become a joyless existence. He shouted to Makoto that she ruined his life, it's only darkness around him. In the end, he shouted that it would be better if his younger sister's condition turned out to be hopeless after the tests. As he said that, he observed Makoto's reaction, and in the end concluded that Makoto is doing all the murders because of his sister. Then, Tsukumo left the place ordering Mizuno to gather information about Makoto. At night, Makoto was walking home, and as he got closer, he smelled something nice. He rushed inside the house thinking his father had spent all the money on some bullshit. As he entered, Yini welcomed him home. She said that his dad left for a drink and she's in charge of the kitchen. She has learned from Makoto's dad that lately Makoto has only been eating bento from the store. That's not good for his health. That's why she decided to cook something for him. She thought that she'd go home after cooking the food, but she managed to catch him. Hearing that, Makoto didn't stop and decided to leave the house. Yini stopped him and asked him where he's going. Because he skipped school today, she asked him where he was. Makoto smiled and asked her to not ask him the same questions as the police. Remembering that Makoto's dad told her that Makoto brought home a girl and chatted with her about something, she asked him if he was alone or with someone. Makoto angrily shouted, telling her that it's none of her business. Hearing that, Yini asked him to tell her at least one thing. She asked him if he's happy now. As Makoto heard that, he fell to the ground clenching his head. He shouted, saying he doesn't even know what happiness is. He asked them if he should leave Shori alone just for his own happiness. He wants to be like everyone else, go to school, study, and enjoy his life. At that moment, all the life left Makoto's eyes as he said that it's all impossible for him. He just wants to die as soon as possible. Right then, Yini hugged him, saying she's on his side and will never leave him. After some time, Makoto was laying peacefully on Yini's leg. While he was sleeping, Yini rubbed his hairs, saying she will always be beside him. At that moment, a person with a creepy face was angrily looking at them while hiding. Sometime later when Makoto woke up, he immediately saw the time and hurried up the stairs seeing that it's already 11 p.m. He didn't kill anyone today, and now he doesn't even have to go back to Tokyo. In his room, while he was packing up his things, he found an amulet given to him by Yini. He apologized to Yini in his mind for always making her worried and ran downstairs after packing up his things. Right then, Katajiri got out of the closet and put knife on Yini's neck. Makoto shouted seeing that, asking Katajiri what she's doing here. Instead of answering, Katajiri asked him the same question. She said that evening came, but he didn't contact her. She got worried and decided to come here. Upon her arrival, the first thing she saw is Makoto laying peacefully on Yini's knees. She shouted, reminding him that he promised to come back and not betray her. Makoto was about to talk when suddenly, Katajiri plunged the knife on Yini's shoulder while saying that Makoto is hers. Immediately, Yini shouted in pain, but Katajiri didn't stop. Makoto asked her to stop, but she didn't listen to him. She talked to Yini, saying she always follows Makoto. She asked Yini why she always sticks her nose into other people's business like an annoying hag. Katajiri put the knife on Yini's neck and asked her if she loves Makoto. When she didn't answer, Katajiri plunged the knife into Yini's stomach and started twisting it. She asked her again if she loves him. The whole time, Makoto kept on shouting, begging Katajiri to stop, but she didn't listen. Because Yini didn't answer, Katajiri turned to Makoto and asked him if he loves her or Yini. Before Makoto could answer, Yini talked in her almost dead start. She asked Katajiri to not drag Makoto into her mess. She said that Katajiri makes him unhappy. Hearing that, Katajiri couldn't believe that Yae is still worrying about him in this state. So to destroy her will, she made up a lie. She shouted, saying that Makoto and her already did that and it was amazing. At that moment, Makoto got really angry and asked Katajiri to let Yae go. Seeing that look in his eyes, Katajiri realized that Makoto truly loves Yae and without wasting a moment cut Yae's neck, saying, "Oops," killed her. Before she fell to the ground, Makoto ran and grabbed her. Before dying, Yae said to Makoto, "Be happy." With that, all life left Yae's eyes and she died. Seeing that, Makoto almost lost his mind and started crying. From behind, an irritating voice came, asking Makoto why he's crying. When Makoto turned to teach her a lesson, she reminded him that he hadn't killed anyone today. That means the day will start again and Yae will come back to life. Katajiri, with a smile on her face, told Makoto to consider this a warning. She tells him to only look at her from now on. She bit her ear and said that if he betrayed her again, she herself doesn't know what she'll do next. Saying that, she asked Makoto to let go of Yae's corpse, saying that it's for her own good. Katajiri said this because Makoto once told her that the objects that he touches at the moment when the time loop closes also move with him 24 hours back. So, if he kept Yae in his arms, she will truly die when this day will start again. With no other choice, Makoto took his hands away from her body, saying sorry to her. At that moment, when the day was about to end, Katajiri jumped toward Makoto and hugged him with full force. And when the day ended, both Makoto and Katajiri returned 24 hours back in time. Seeing the scene, Katajiri was really shocked. She suddenly got excited and said to Makoto that they should do it now while they're stained with Yae's blood. At this moment, Makoto has realized that he was walking around with a monster until now and wondered what he should do now. July 19th again, 8:45 a.m. Yae left her house telling her mom that she's going to the school club. After some walking, she encountered Makoto on the road. She asked him what happened. She said that he suddenly disappeared, so she was really worried. She tells him that she was going to cook something for him today. She had decided to leave the food on the table if she hadn't found him at home. Suddenly, Makoto shouted, asking her to stop getting in his way all the time. He tells her that they're not even related, but she imagines herself as his older sister and sticks her nose everywhere. Hearing that, Yae was really shocked and confused. She asked him to tell her if something happened. But instead of saying something, Makoto hit her and asked her to not follow him from now on. With that, Makoto left the place without saying anything further. Yae kept on asking him to not leave her, but Makoto didn't stop. From behind, Katajiri saw everything and smiled. The next moment, Katajiri and Makoto were standing together. Katajiri is here to buy something and then return to Tokyo. As she is leaving, she tells him that she has already taken his things from home, so he doesn't have to go back home to pack up things. She asked him to immediately return to Tokyo after checking up on his sister. After that, Makoto went to the hospital. Same as before, Tsukumo and Mizuno were waiting for him. They tried to ask him some questions, but this time, Makoto ran inside the hospital without even looking at them. While Shori was getting examined, Makoto was sitting on the table, looking at Yae's picture. He thought that Yae lived near his house when they were still a normal family. Yae is his childhood friend. They played together every day, and it was something taken for granted. He never gave it any importance and didn't think that something special was going on between them. But when she was dying in his arms, he realized that he has always loved Yae. At that moment, tears started dropping from his eyes, thinking that he wouldn't see her again because he doesn't want to drag her into this. Right then, a nurse came up to him and told him that the doctor will explain everything to him about Shori. With that, he deleted the last remaining picture of Yae he had. After some hours, Makoto left the hospital. He remembered that he needed to go back to Tokyo because Katajiri was waiting for him. But while walking toward the station, he felt something's wrong and came back to his house. And as he entered, he was shocked to see the food prepared on the table. He immediately realized that Yae came here. He looked toward the sink and after seeing the dirty dishes, he thought that Yae couldn't have gone home without cleaning up after herself. Suddenly, he smelled something and followed it. While walking, he stepped on a pile of blood. In front of him was a closet from which the blood was dripping out. When he pushed aside the clothes, he was shocked to see Yae's lifeless body in front of him. He quickly calmed himself and remembered Yae insisting him to come straight to the train station. He realized that Katajiri just pretended that she was leaving for Tokyo, and when Yae came to cook dinner, she killed her. After that, at 11:53 p.m., Makoto was in Tokyo and was knocking on a toilet door. Immediately, Katajiri opened the door and hurriedly asked him to come inside. There, she has prepared a guy for Makoto to kill. She handed over the knife to Makoto, but he didn't kill the guy. Katajiri thought that Makoto was angry because she found the victim for him despite him asking her not to. When Makoto didn't say anything, she asked him to hurry, because in 2 minutes the day would end. Suddenly, Makoto walked toward Katajiri and hugged her. She thought that Makoto got turned on because of her outfit, so she told him that they'll do it later, and asked him to kill that guy first. Seeing that Makoto isn't moving and only 1 minute is left, she got worried and started requesting him to kill the guy. But in the end, Makoto didn't move and the day started again. Katajiri also came back in time and thought that she would now have to redo everything. From behind, Makoto asked her if she's planning to kill her for the third time. Katajiri realized that he didn't kill that guy because he saw Yanie's corpse. Then, Makoto shouted, saying that if he hadn't found out and a new day had started, then Yanie would have died. Seeing him angry, Katajiri bowed down, asking him to forgive her. She promised that she won't touch Yanie ever again. But Makoto didn't believe her because it costs her nothing to break her promises. Hearing that, Katajiri told him that he also broke his promise. He should have gone straight to the station, however, he decided to look home. Makoto was about to talk, but Katajiri stopped him and said that she was scared. She said that Yanie is stunningly beautiful. She can't even compare to her. So if she won't fight, sooner or later she'll take Makoto away from her. And if Makoto leaves her, she'll be all alone. She's very afraid of this. She suddenly grabbed his collar and promised that she won't harm his friends ever again. She'll say that she'll never do anything that'll hurt him. She will try her best to make him happy. Still, Makoto didn't believe her and pushed her away. He said that he doesn't need anything from her. Hearing that, Katajiri got really sad and requested Makoto to at least take her life so a new day will come. She said that she wants to be at least a little useful for him. Seeing that, Makoto decided to give her one last chance. Then, same as before, Makoto came back to the town to meet Shori. He decided to split up with Katajiri here and then contact her as soon as Shiori's examination ends. Katajiri requested that she go to the hospital with him, but Makoto refused. Before parting ways, he asked Katajiri to keep her promise. With that, he appeared in front of the hospital where Mizuno and Tsukumo were waiting for him. He didn't pay any attention to them and kept on walking. Suddenly, Tsukumo mentioned Makoto's younger sister. This made Makoto really angry and he went back to grab Tsukumo's collar. He tells him that Shori isn't bad at all. She didn't do anything wrong. Saying that, he left Tsukumo's collar and entered the hospital. After the examination, the doctor told him that the test results are good and the surgery can be performed. Now, they only need to wait till August 10th to perform surgery. However, the doctor tells him that if the disease begins to progress rapidly, Shori probably won't live to see the operation. Makoto thought that 3 months ago he was suddenly called home. Shori was on the ground tightly holding her stomach. His dad took her to the hospital and the doctor asked him why he neglected Shiori's disease like that. When Makoto's dad heard that Shori needed an organ transplant to recover, he got angry and started shouting at the doctor, saying they just wanted to squeeze the money out of him and left the hospital. Meanwhile, Makoto was beside his sister. She apologized to Makoto because she wouldn't be able to cook dinner for him. Hearing that, Makoto tells her to say useless things and asks her if she noticed all this time that her condition is getting worse. Shori answered no. Makoto immediately realized that she was lying, but didn't press her to tell him anything further. After asking Makoto to not worry about her, she lost consciousness. In the present, Makoto was standing in front of Shiori's hospital room. And when he entered, the first thing he saw was Katajiri. Makoto got really worried for Shori and asked Katajiri why she came to the hospital. Katajiri answered that she couldn't resist and apologized to him. She said that she really wanted to meet his little sister, whom he is trying to protect even at the cost of his own life. Katajiri held Shiori's hand and asked her to fight death so that her older brother could see her smile again. Hearing that, Makoto said thanks to her for visiting Shori. But she can't stay in the hospital. He tells her to go to the grove where they buried the body, he'll meet her there. Without complaining, Katajiri left the place. At night, Makoto was sitting in the forest, thinking he had already killed 9 people. He asked the god how long will the curse hang on him. He asked if he'll have to kill people even after Shiori's surgery. At that moment, Katajiri appeared behind and apologized for being late. Right then, Makoto got a call from the hospital. He was shocked to learn that in Shiori's ward, life support was turned off. They told him that the nurse noticed almost immediately, so nothing bad happened, but if the nurse had hesitated, Shiori's life could have been in danger. They said that now they're going to investigate who's behind this and asked him to come to the hospital tomorrow. Before Makoto could say something, Katajiri innocently asked him if something happened. Without wasting a second, Makoto jumped toward Katajiri and pinned her down. Meanwhile, Mizuno was telling Tsukumo that higher-ups had asked them to stop the investigation against Makoto because there's many other cases pending. And according to Mizuno and superiors, Makoto most likely has nothing to do with the murders. Hearing that, Tsukumo called the management people idiots because they still don't trust his version. He's sure that Makoto is involved. Tsukumo said that one look at Makoto's photo is enough to understand that he would not take risks for his own good. In other words, Makoto would have decided to kill for someone, and that someone is none other Shirori. Tsukumo believes that there's something behind the killing spree that threatens the life of the Shirori. Suddenly, Tsukumo noticed a shortcut and asked Mizuno to stop the car. The next moment, both of them were in the hospital where Shiori's admitted. After learning about what happened, the detectives got permission to check Shiori's room and security footage. Taking this chance, Tsukumo asked Mizuno to set up a camera in Shiori's ward that'll work 24/7. While they were checking the room, Tsukumo thought about the time when Makoto got angry at him when he mentioned his sister. He's sure that Makoto's sister is the key to the solution. On the other hand, Makoto was holding Katajiri from the neck because he's sure that she's the one who almost killed Shirori. Makoto shouted, asking her why she deceived him. Instead of answering, she reminded him that he promised to never hurt her again. Makoto also reminded her the reason why they're still together. She said that she kept her promise. She didn't do anything that could hurt Makoto. She said that she wanted to kill Shirori to make him happy. She said that the time loop is like hell for him, it's the cause of his suffering. With Shiori's death, his suffering will end. She tells him that she still remembered him saying he thought about his sister when he prayed to the gods. So if there was no sister, he wouldn't have to pray. She asked him if she's wrong. She said that if he left Shirori and didn't chase tomorrow, he wouldn't have to do all those senseless killings. She tells him that Shiori's death would be the happy end of this crazy game. Hearing all that, Makoto stopped strangling her and clenched his own head. Still, Katajiri didn't stop and kept on talking, saying she would kill Shirori to make him happy. Suddenly, Makoto picked up a big rock and smashed Katajiri's head with it. He didn't stop there, he kept on smashing her again and again until her face got completely destroyed. After killing her, Makoto begged, asking to stop breaking his heart into pieces. Then, Makoto headed back home where he saw Yaini cooking food for him. When she welcomed him, Makoto angrily looked at her and asked her to get out of his sight if she didn't want to die. He walked toward his room thinking he doesn't trust anyone anymore. He doesn't feel anything. Now his soul is under lock and key. As he thought that, the next day started. Meanwhile, Tsukumo is asking the officers to install surveillance after Shirori. The doctor was about to say something but Mizuno talked first. She said that everything will remain exclusively within the bounds of decency. She tells the doctor that they'll just put a guard at the entrance of the ward. Then, Tsukumo asked the doctor if he noticed anything suspicious in Shirori. The doctor was confused when Tsukumo asked him to remember something if he thought it was nothing. He wants the doctor to really tense his hippocampus and remember any little thing that could be related to Shirori. Saying that, Tsukumo walked near Shiori's bed and thought that today's incident and the series of murders are undoubtedly connected. Right then, a security person barged into the room saying that he had something to show them. In the security room, he showed Tsukumo and Mizuno a scene of Katajiri leaving the hospital from the backside. He said that she passed here, went out into the backyard and disappeared. Then, Tsukumo asked Nakamoto if any other camera captured Katajiri. He answered no. Hearing the answer, they wondered if she tried to avoid the cameras. The weird part is that she entered the hospital from the main entrance, not hiding at all. So the question is why she tried to leave unnoticed. Tsukumo gave the reason that someone told her to stay away from the cameras when she leaves the hospital. Right then, Nakamoto revealed that the camera was recently installed in the backyard. This means that someone who told Katajiri to avoid the camera didn't know the camera was installed at the backyard recently. Tsukumo believes that Makoto was in the hospital at the time too. Hearing that, Mizuno said that Makoto left half an hour before Katajiri was filmed out the back door. And he left through the main entrance. Tsukumo thought that if Makoto and Katajiri really worked together, then most likely Makoto has something to do with the murder of Katajiri's mother. But if they're buddies, then what caused today's incident with Shirori? He wonders if Katajiri tried to kill Shirori. He wonders if Katajiri is Makoto's enemy and wants to know what connects them. With that, they secretly installed a camera in Shiori's room and left the hospital. July 20th evening at the police station. Tsukumo was watching something on the computer. He is watching the footage of the store. Mizuno collected all the footage of the time when Makoto entered the store from the cameras that were installed near it. She was shocked that he was watching the footages for all night. Tsukumo points out that none of the recordings show what Makoto did before going to the store. He found confirmation that Makoto left the park, but nothing could explain how he got there. All entrances of the park are monitored. Makoto couldn't get around all the cameras so cleverly. He wondered how he ended up in the park. The only options are flying there by air or teleporting in the park. At that moment, a person entered the room with a lady. This lady is a nurse came from the city hospital and she wants to talk with Tsukumo. The nurse tells them about the sudden change in condition. She said that something happened to her at night and her conditions suddenly changed. She added that this has happened multiple times before. Mizuno couldn't understand what's unusual about this. So the nurse explained that the heart rate does not change instantly, and the symptoms of the disease cannot progress so fast. Now she points out that such change in condition only occurs at midnight as a new day comes. Hearing that, Tsukumo immediately asked her to tell him everything, but the nurse said that she didn't know anything more. In the next scene, Tsukumo and Mizuno arrive in front of someone's home. They rang the bell several times and when no one answered, they decided to just enter the house. As they entered, a really bad smell entered their noses. It turns out that the one who lives in this house never cleaned it. All the garbage is scattered everywhere in the house. In the middle of the garbage sat a very familiar person. She is Suzuhara, the nurse whose son Makoto killed. She is living like this after hearing the news of her son's death. Seeing the detectives, she jumped on them and asked them if the person who killed her son had been caught. Mizuno answered no. Then she asked them why they came here. Mizuno said that they wanted to ask her something. Right then, we see a blurry figure saying sorry to Makoto. She said that she knows he's a strong boy, and even if mommy isn't with him, he'll be fine. Makoto heard that and asked her mom why she's telling him this. Then, the mom started leaving. Makoto asked her to stop, but she didn't listen. It turns out that Makoto was just dreaming. He walked out of the restaurant and wondered why he dreamed that. He looked at the time and saw and it's 10:15 p.m. After a while, a drunkard was walking on a dark road where there was no one. He suddenly stopped because there's someone standing in front of him. Makoto didn't say a walk and slit his throat with a knife. After killing the guy, he didn't even look behind and thought, just a step into a new day. His eyes are completely empty like he doesn't care about anything now. He just wants to save his sister. Meanwhile, Suzuhara asked the detectives why there's asking about Shirori. Mizuno tells her that yesterday an attempt was made on Shirori. They are asking her about Shirori because she was the patient she took care of. Hearing that, Suzuhara started shouting with anger. She said that her son's killer is still at liberty, and they care about some Shirori. She said that she doesn't remember anything about her, and she also said that she's not going to remember. She asked them to make an effort to solve the murder of her son quicker. She shouted that she doesn't have any interest in helping them with anything. Right then, she stopped shouting as she realized that they're asking her about Shirori because both incidents are related. When she asked them if the incidents are really related, Tsukumo didn't answer. He said that the police are just checking the possible leads. With that, they left her house after telling to call them anytime if she wanted to tell anything about Shirori. She didn't listen to them and wondered if Shirori was involved. And remembering Shirori, only Makoto's picture came to her mind. July 21st, Friday. Suzuhara joined the hospital again. Now that Suzuhara is back, she'll be assigned to Shirori again. She apologized to the nurse who had to take care of Shirori in her absence and asked her to tell her what happened during her absence. While the nurse explained everything, Suzuhara looked at Shirori and called out Shirori and Makoto's name in her mind, asking them if they had done something to her son. She dialed a call to Makoto, but at that time, Makoto was so lost in thoughts that he didn't realize his phone's ringing. In the end, Suzuhara had to voicemail him. She said angrily, "You killed my son." Meanwhile, Mizuno reported to Tsukumo that on the first floor of the hospital, several cameras had been installed to record the entrances and exits. However, Shiori's ward is out of their line of sight. She mentioned that installing a camera in Shiori's room would violate her right to privacy. Hearing that, Tsukumo told her that she should have threatened the hospital staff and installed the camera. Now, there are too many blind spots in the hospital, so he asked Mizuno to do whatever she wants, but cover all the spots. As he got up, he asked her if she knew where Katajiri and Makoto were. Mizuno heard that and said that the other officers are already busy with another murder that happened yesterday. She also mentioned that the superiors are insisting on the version that drugs are the reason behind all these deaths. But Tsukumo ignored her, thinking Shirori is connected to the murders is their key to solving this case. Meanwhile, Makoto had found the target of today and had tied him to the tree. The man kept asking for help, but in the forest, they were alone with no one to help. This person is one of Ikita's friends. Makoto was already set on killing this guy the moment he saw him. Saying that, he pointed beside the tree and told the guy that his friend is buried there. Without wasting a moment, Makoto moved to finish the guy. But suddenly, he stopped because he received a voicemail. He played the audio and heard Suzuhara's voice. She asked him why he wasn't picking her phone and also mentioned that she wanted to ask him something important. But because Makoto decided to ignore her, she said that she would ask Shirori. Makoto left behind the person and ran toward the hospital in panic. While running, Makoto wondered if she had guessed he killed her son. Outside the hospital, many cops were already standing. Makoto ran inside and saw an officer who was bleeding heavily. Right then, a nurse called him, pointing toward a direction, calling Shiori's name. Following the direction, Makoto saw Suzuhara taking Shirori as hostage. Suzuhara immediately asked Makoto what he had done to Daiki, her son. When Makoto didn't talk, Suzuhara threatened him by putting a cutter on Shiori's face. At this moment, Mizuno and Tsukumo were also there. Mizuno shouted, asking Suzuhara to stop. But Makoto ignored her and revealed that he's the one who killed Daiki. Mizuno, Tsukumo and Suzuhara were shocked to hear that. Then, Suzuhara asked him to tell the reason. Makoto first apologized, saying he didn't know Daiki was her son. He said that he was looking for a person that he could kill, and happened to witness Daiki and his friends graping Katajiri. Suzuhara was stunned and immediately refused to believe the claim. She asked Makoto to bring Katajiri here and have her tell everything. But Makoto revealed that it's not possible because he has already killed her. Suzuhara heard that and called him a demon. She shouted, asking the officers to arrest him. But before they could move, Makoto shouted, asking them to not come near him. At this moment, Makoto was glad he didn't kill Ikita's friend. Now the only way out of this horrible situation is to use the time loop. Seeing that only 2 minutes were left before 12, Makoto fell to his knees. He said that he knows he doesn't deserve punishment as a murderer. But as he said that, his tone shifted, saying even though she raised her son with love and care, he was a piece of shit. Hearing that, Suzuhara crashed out and ran to attack Makoto. She used the cutter and cut Makoto's arm, but Makoto didn't fall back. He tackled Suzuhara, glad that she let go of Shirori. The cops didn't waste a second and pinned down Suzuhara. She quickly shouted, asking the cops to catch the actual killer. But by the time they ran to catch him, Makoto had already reached Shirori and took her hostage. At that moment, Tsukumo walked forward, pointing out that even though Makoto has confessed his crimes, his eyes are showing no hint of fear. He asked him what he was up to. Makoto smiled, answering he just wanted to finally get to a happy end with Shirori. As the clock hit 12, the day started again. The officer who was standing outside Shiori's room suddenly heard a voice. He looked inside and saw that Shirori was gone. Right then, the officer heard a voice of someone shouting. He looked in the hall and saw Shirori. The nurse was really shocked, asking how she suddenly get here. Standing outside the hospital, Makoto called Shirori in his mind, asking her to not worry because her brother is not as pathetic as he used to be. He declared that no matter what would happen, he would definitely protect his sister. In the hospital, the nurse quickly put an oxygen mask on Shirori and took her back to her room. Lying on the bed, a single tear came out of Shiori's eye. Again, July 21st, Friday. Suzuhara was sitting in her house, thinking about calling Makoto and asking him about her son's death. Meanwhile, Tsukumo and Mizuno reached hospital and heard about Shirori suddenly disappearing from her ward and appearing in the waiting room. Mizuno guessed that someone might have taken Shirori there, but the officer disagreed. He turned on the computer and showed them the camera footage. Seeing that the time was 23:59 minutes, Tsukumo pushed away Mizuno and carefully looked at the footage. As the clock hit 0, Shori appeared in the waiting room in an instant. At that moment, Tsukumo smiled like he had uncovered something. In the police department, Tsukumo watched the footage again and again. He watched the footage like a maniac, which made other officers worried. On July 22nd, Tsukumo mentioned that he keeps coming back to the same conclusion again and again. And if his claims are really true, he wondered if the new day had truly arrived. The officers gathered together, asking what they should do about Tsukumo. It turned out that for the whole day, Tsukumo kept staring at the mirror, studying his reflection. He didn't eat any food or went to the toilet. Right then, the door opened and Tsukumo walked in. Tsukumo said that he finally reached the conclusion. Mizuno asked him about that conclusion. Tsukumo said that last night, on the 21st, something definitely happened at the hospital, but that something disappeared. While the officers were confused, Tsukumo thought that before disappearing, someone brought Shori to the waiting room. They disconnected her from the artificial breathing device. In other words, this person had bad intentions, a person who came to the hospital in the middle of the night to hurt Shori. He concluded that the person was Suzuhara. In the next scene, Suzuhara was found dead in her house with her head cut off. Seeing her, Tsukumo wasn't shocked because he had already thought that Makoto would kill her. After inspecting the place, Mizuno and Tsukumo were riding in the car somewhere. Mizuno asked him to tell her the whole story. She said that wouldn't call him crazy no matter what he say. At that moment he saw Makoto riding the bus. He immediately pulled the brake and left the car. At 10:03 p.m., Makoto was walking somewhere on the outskirts of Miyako. He found out that Vikita's friend, whom he didn't kill that night, is working somewhere in the area, and he's here to finish what he started. Suddenly, he looked back and called Tsukumo. It turned out that Tsukumo was following him the whole time. Tsukumo didn't try to hide after Makoto called him. He walked out, calling himself a bad detective. Tsukumo then asked him what he was doing here. Makoto answered nothing and started to walk away. But Tsukumo didn't let him go, asking him if he killed Suzuhara. Makoto acted like he didn't know anything, asking him if she really died. Tsukumo answered yes and mentioned that it gave him some leeway. Before Makoto could ask him what he was talking about, Tsukumo pulled out handcuffs and locked one of Makoto's hands with his own. Tsukumo smiled like a madman, saying now he wouldn't let him go anywhere alone. Suddenly, Tsukumo pointed out that he was hungry and swallowed the key. He said that the key alone isn't enough to kill his hunger and dragged Makoto to a restaurant. There, he ordered 2 ramens and a pack of sugar. While being dragged, Makoto asked him if detectives are allowed to arrest people like this. Tsukumo quickly answered no with no explanation. At that moment, he received the ramens and started gulping them down. He put sugar on the ramens and mentioned that they were still too spicy. After one gulp, he grabbed Makoto's face like he was in love with him. He asked Makoto how many times he had rewind time. Makoto was really shocked, and seeing that shocked face, Tsukumo decided to explain. He said that he suspected the time rewind thing ever since he saw the footage from the security camera installed in the Tokyo convenience store. But at that moment, he wasn't sure because rewinding time didn't make any sense to him. However, recently he decided to put aside his doubts and believed that Makoto killed Suzuhara's son that rainy day. And the next day he came back to Tokyo and rewinded time. Shiori's mystical teleportation and Suzuhara's death only confirmed his theory. Tsukumo assumed that Suzuhara attacked Shori in the waiting room of the hospital on the night of the 21st, so for the sake of saving his sister, Makoto decided to rewind that day. Then he killed Suzuhara to stop the tragedy from happening again. To Tsukumo and others, it looked like Shiori's instantaneous movement, but it wasn't. Between her disappearance and appearance, a whole day passed. Tsukumo also mentioned that according to the nurses, Shiori's conditions suddenly changed several times, and each time at midnight. In other words, Makoto's sister travels through time with him. Bro, Tsukumo is literally so crazy. He said each thing correctly. It was like he traveled through time as well and was always watching Makoto. Suddenly, Tsukumo left the hospital and started dragging Makoto somewhere. After a while, Tsukumo stopped at a place where there was a camera. Tsukumo thought that he wanted to tell Mizuno, but she would never believe him, so he brought him here to record everything as an evidence. If the time rewinded, it would look like Tsukumo and Makoto teleported here. And to go through time with Makoto, he grabbed Makoto. He thought that just touching would also take him back because he assumed that Shirori traveled back with a wheelchair because Makoto was touching it at the moment of time travel. In 2 minutes, the clock will hit 12, and Tsukumo would learn that if all of his conclusions were just fantasies of the truths. Suddenly, Makoto brought out a knife and slashed Tsukumo's hand before he could react. He cut off Tsukumo's hand and freed himself. Looking at the injured Tsukumo on the ground, Makoto said that he would do exactly as he said, rewind time. Because there's only one way to break the time loop, that is, kill a person. He asked Tsukumo to be patient as in 1 minute, the day would reset and his hand would recover. Suddenly, Tsukumo asked Makoto to keep the hand. If Tsukumo's hand remained with Makoto, then exactly at midnight, 24 hours ago, when he was standing in the middle of the interrogation room, his hand would suddenly disappear. That would give him evidence to prove the existence of the time loop. But Makoto didn't listen to him and threw his hand on the ground. Makoto started to walk away, asking Tsukumo to not bother him. At that moment, Tsukumo got up from the ground, picked up the hand, and threw it toward Tsukumo. But before it could touch Makoto, the time rewinded and the day started again. While walking, Makoto was annoyed that Tsukumo realized he was time traveling, but he thought that it's not really important. In the end, he's just walking into the next day. The day started with Tsukumo shouting, asking if the new day has really arrived. Seeing him, the officers who were behind the door called him creepy. Tsukumo suddenly hits the table, wondering how he's supposed to prove time travel. At 2:47 a.m., Makoto looked around and assumed that his house wasn't being watched. As he entered the house, he heard some voices. Someone has grabbed his dad, asking him to pay back the loan of $6,000 with interest. The dad shouted, saying he's about to receive the money, and as soon as he got it, he would pay back. Hearing that, the man asked Makoto's father about the details. The dad answered that the disease will soon finish his daughter, and he'll pay back using the insurance money that he would receive after Shiori's death. Makoto was stunned after hearing that. He realized that his father knew everything long before Shiori passed out and ended up in the hospital. Makoto's dad knew about Shiori's illness. But despite the suffering of his daughter, he didn't tell anyone or do anything about it. It turned out that the dad beat her own daughter even while she was ill, asking her to not tell anyone about her illness. Even the person who was beating him just now praised him and called him a scum. Makoto's heart was in so much pain as he remembered Shiori telling him she didn't notice that her illness was getting worse. All this time, Makoto was thinking that Shiori didn't reveal anything because she was worried about him, but now he has learned that it was actually the father who forced her to stay silent. Right then, the person asked Makoto's dad about what he would do about the surgery of his daughter that was coming up. The dad answered that he would make up some reason and refused to sign the agreement. Hearing that, Makoto shattered all over. Meanwhile, Tsukumo was still staring in the mirror. Outside, Mizuno was talking with an officer that after seeing the footage of Shiori suddenly appearing in the waiting hall, Tsukumo is like this. Because Mizuno was worried about him, the officer suggested that she should handcuff him to herself and look after him day and night. Mizuno immediately refused, saying she would never do something like that. Meanwhile, Tsukumo heard all that and got an idea. He decided to handcuff Makoto with himself and keep a closer watch at him. But at that moment, when he touched his waist to grab the handcuffs, they weren't there. Tsukumo was confused because he remembered having handcuffs with him. Quickly, he realized what had happened and ran outside. Mizuno followed him to go with him, but Tsukumo quickly rode the car and left her behind. While riding, Tsukumo guessed that what if he was living the July 22nd for the second time. The previous him, who lived this day for the first time, just like now heard the conversation between Mizuno and Nakamoto, the other officer, and decided to handcuff himself to Makoto. But something went wrong and the plan failed, so for Tsukumo, July 22nd is repeating and the handcuffs on Makoto's wrist traveled back with him. If the handcuffs are still on him, Tsukumo can prove the existence of the time loop. At the same time, Makoto heard the whole conversation of his dad with the other person. Makoto was really angry and was about to crash out hard. Makoto stared down at his father, asking him why he did that to Shiori. He cursed his father, saying he would never forgive him. Hearing that, the dad lashed out, scolding him for talking to his father like that. Without hesitating, Makoto punched him to the ground. He picked up a beer bottle and started beating the father, calling him a worthless drunkard. Then, Makoto pulled out a knife to end him. Seeing that, the dad immediately started apologizing, admitting he was wrong. The dad asked him to put away the knife and played the family card. But Makoto didn't listen and stabbed his eye. The dad rolled on the ground, and Makoto shouted, asking him how he could play the family card while trying to kill his own daughter. Suddenly, the dad said if only Sanabe was with us, nothing of this sort would have happened. Hearing the name, Makoto asked the dad to shut up, asking him to not drag mother into this. Even though the mother fled the house, leaving her family behind, she was still better than the father. Makoto mentioned that 5 years ago, when the mother left the house, the dad started drinking, quit his job, and also started hitting his children. Since then, Shori and Makoto have been living in a real hell. Hearing all that, the dad asked Makoto if he was so bad, why Makoto and Shori didn't leave him. Makoto answered that he thought many times about leaving, but Shori stopped him each time, saying they should hold on. Shori didn't lose hope and continued to believe in her dad. As he was about to end his family, he remembered Shori telling him something. She told him that no matter the circumstance, they are one family. One has only to forget about it and they immediately cease to be a family. On the other hand, Yaeni was looking at her phone, saying she wanted to support Makoto and ease his pain. That's why she's hiding something from him. One day, Yaeni and Shori met and Shori told something to Yaeni that they have to keep secret from Makoto. Meanwhile, Makoto thought about what Shori told him and wondered what that meant. Seeing him lost in thoughts, the dad got up and tried running away, but he just took some steps before getting caught by Makoto. Realizing that Makoto has really decided on killing him, the dad smiled and said, "Shori has no relatives besides me." The dad explained that 3 months ago, he had a test to see if he could become Shiori's donor. The dad told Makoto that he had a blood type B, but that was a lie. Makoto's dad's actual blood group is AB. Learning that, Makoto thought if he has the O blood type, and his father has AB. Before the manga showed the conclusion, the scene shifts to the past where Shori was talking to Yaeni. Shori was crying after telling her about her mother leaving and her fight with the dad. As she cleaned her face, Yaeni was in daze because he had just learned that Makoto and Shori aren't siblings. In the present, the dad revealed Shori is his daughter from the first marriage, and Makoto was brought here by Sanabe. Meaning, Sanabe already had a child when she married Shiori's dad. When Sanabe and Shiori's dad got together, Makoto was already 2 years old. The dad told Makoto to move on as Shori isn't his actual sister. Makoto asked him why he was silent till now. The dad answered that because of the money, he couldn't let a good worker like Makoto leave home. The dad knew that if Makoto got entangled with family ties, he would never leave. And the other reason was because he wanted to be a good father. Before Makoto could ask him anything, the dad continued, saying everything went to hell. Now he doesn't understand what to do. Crushed by grief, drinking everything that could be drunk, and finally sobbing up every time he remembered how badly he treated Makoto. There was nothing else left. So, in order to forget, he started drinking again. In the end, the dad asked for forgiveness, saying they would become a family again. Hearing all that, Makoto calmed down and hugged his dad. But suddenly, the dad coughed out blood as Makoto plunged his knife deep inside the dad's stomach. Makoto said to his dad that he realized too late and his sins cannot be washed away. As he ran to finish his dad, he thought that his only real family was Shori. After a while, Tsukumo arrived at Makoto's house and barged inside. There, he saw Makoto's lifeless dad and his own handcuffs on the ground.